Hello? Hello? Oh, Pluto is calling. I guess it would be like hitting the intercom because Pluto's secretary directed the call to Pluto. And Pluto chose to take it because he needs to have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius be the propaganda department. Or you could just not try to know the future. Just trust God and live your life. The moon doesn't have a lot of light. So it's a lot of just like dim things being pinged dimly. And we're checking in with a lot of stuff that's like, how did the past several years go? And what's like coming, what's not culminating, but what has, I can't think of the word. Stuff that started in 2017 and even some different stuff that started in 2011, 2012. So like 2011, 2012, 2017, 2018, stuff that began kicking up dust around then, or like kicking up dust or making a splash. We're talking about Pisces and Taurus here. I'm talking specifically about Neptune's transit of Pisces and Uranus's transit of Taurus, both of which are doing their last little bit. Right now, those transits are coming to an end. They're long-term. It's literally the end of an era. There are different lengths of eras in astrology, and the outer planets signify eras. So Uranus going through a sign signifies these 7-year eras. Neptune eras are like 12 or 13 years, etc. Pluto's eras kind of are all over the place because Pluto's orbit is elliptical. So Pluto in Scorpio era is like 8 years or something, and Pluto in Aquarius now, this is going to be a 20-year transit. It began in 2023. So first thing on Monday, this is more of a Sunday thing, but it's like a week-long era, I guess, since it's the Sun and Saturn, which move like a little bit more slowly than the moon pinging something. The Sun trines Saturn, and the Sun conjoined Saturn back in March, like around mid-March 2025. So, pardon my language, but some crazy shit was probably brewing around then. So look at how far we've come. I love the Sun's closing trine with Saturn. Also, when the Sun trines Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, that means that those planets are around, stationing either retrograde or direct, and outer planet retrogrades are not nearly the same thing as a retrograde of Mars, Venus, or Mercury. They're more like tides. A lot of people say we have 7 planets retrograde right now, like it's mayhem. The outer planet retrogrades don't work that way. So going from Jupiter out, the retrogrades are a little different. And we have Jupiter and Saturn stationing right now. Saturn's going to be stationing direct next week, and Jupiter is going to be stationing retrograde last week. LOL, Jupiter already stationed retrograde. The past starts feeling like the future sometimes. Because everything's cyclical. I need a break. So also on Monday, the first part of Monday is Mercury applying to, this is a new setup, so I'm not used to things. My quest to be comfortable during filming, check me out, I'm uncomfortable. And this isn't a divan. So on Monday, the first part of Monday is going to be Mercury applying to a sextile with Pluto. And this is Mercury's retrograde. It's the second of 3 sextiles of Mercury with Pluto. So the last time Mercury sextile Pluto was October 30th, and the next time Mercury will sextile Pluto is December 13th. So if you're in a Mercury ruled year, or Mercury is really important, or Pluto is prominent somehow for you, that'll be the story. It's October 13th this week, and then December 13th. And a lot of this week is like, there are many interesting aspects that are along those lines, that like this is the second of 3 Mercury's driving over backwards these planets that it contacted back at the end of October. And so the easiest Mercury-Pluto contact, like signature, I can think of is back when Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin. I don't know why I said that so weird. It's like the reporter contacting the oligarch emperor. We have them too. Sorry, this is my hairspray. It actually isn't, it's water because I don't have my anti-static hairspray right now. It's driving me crazy. So Mercury sextiles Pluto. There's something, so if you think of that, like Tucker Carlson interviewing Vladimir Putin, but that was a conjunction. They're in the same room. This is they have a line in to each other. Hello? Hello? Oh, Pluto is calling. Or if it's Pluto, I guess it would be like hitting the intercom because Pluto's secretary directed the call to Pluto. And Pluto chose to take it because he needs to have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius be the propaganda department. Someone who had an amazing chart was the press secretary with, I apologize to her for not knowing her name. I've been to her just as like that as a character. Obviously, I don't know anything about her personally, but she was the press secretary of the United States of America during the Biden administration with the red hair. She had, I believe it was, okay, I can't remember if it was retrograde or not, but she had Mercury in Sagittarius with Neptune. Such a good press secretary vibes. So that's the gist of Mercury sextiling Neptune. And so that's like the middle of the day, 12:35 p.m. Pacific time. And so the moon moves into, hang on a sec. I needed to be free. I'm trying to do this lean in, tell you a secret kind of style, but that's uncomfortable. Anyway, so Mercury sextiles Pluto. Moon is the activator of the zodiac. So the moon moves into Scorpio a little after, like about an hour after Mercury sextiles Pluto, and then the moon squares Pluto. So it's popping off immediately. Whatever it is activated, you're going to know what it is, probably, if your senses are attuned to that. I wish you could see I'm doing a tree pose. I wasn't even thinking about it. Anyway, so on Tuesday, Mercury goes back into Scorpio. And this happens at night. So all of Tuesday is just the moon applying to a conjunction with Venus. And it's the moon in fall applying to a conjunction to Venus in detriment. So some sort of like emotional vampire love, or like you're in a misery loves company. That's what I'm calling that. Tuesday. And Mercury moves back into Scorpio. So Mercury, the last time Mercury was in Scorpio, what was that date again? Mercury moves in and out of signs so fast. The last time Mercury was in Scorpio was October 6th through October 29th. And Mercury will go back into Sagittarius. Mercury will be in Scorpio this time until December 11th. Mercury's moving into Scorpio just in time for the dark moon, which we'll talk about on Wednesday. But there's a lot of just like deep Scorpio activation going on this week. If that happens to be your profected house, it's sure to be a time of significance. Wednesday is the dark moon in Scorpio. It's a proper dark moon going exact around 10, like a little before 11 p.m. Pacific time. And we also have, and this is like early in the morning, so this will maybe be like also a part of Tuesday. We have Mercury opposing Uranus and trining Neptune, and these are both, like I said at the beginning, their aspect to, just trying to figure out what my deal is in this environment. It's aspect number 2 of, watch me figure it out live. Mercury opposes Uranus and trines Neptune. And this is Uranus back in Taurus and Neptune back in Pisces. Mercury checked in with, oh my God, what did I even do here? Okay, Mercury's retrograde. There's a fun surprise. Whatever the hell that was. Okay, the last time Mercury opposed Uranus was October 29th, and that was Uranus in Gemini. That was Mercury in Sagittarius and Uranus in Gemini, so it was like a little preview of years to come so for the next 7 years, every roughly Sagittarius season, Mercury's going to oppose Uranus in Gemini. So it's a different Mercury opposition vibe than it has been. And then the last time Mercury trined Neptune was also October 29th. And the next time these two aspects will happen, they'll happen around the same time, December 10th for the opposition with Uranus and December 11th for the trine with Neptune. So maybe you have some like surprising art or work of aesthetics coming down the pipeline this week. it's a good time for that. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday especially, but all week there's like a jolt of, it's good for art. It's not good for figuring out a new scientific theory and being really precise with your calculations. It's just going to be like unexpected. There's like excitement, there's romanticism, there's poetic narrative, not so much accuracy. You've probably been feeling that the past while, like the past week or so. So getting into the meat of Tuesday, a lot of the first part of Tuesday, especially if you're on the east coast of North America where this happens a little later, it happens around 7:30 p.m. The moon trines Jupiter exactly and trines Saturn exactly because they're aspecting each other. They're trining each other right now. So it's like a grand trine. The moon, Jupiter, Saturn. For instance, yeah, we're on Wednesday. I've been overcome with like delusional sadness lately because of loss. Loss that points to my quest to be comfortable. This chair, I've been avoiding this chair because it's like very squeaky. Okay, I'm checking out my video because it likes to be jumpy too. This Mercury retrograde is a mother effer. What I was saying was the moon is trine Jupiter and Saturn, and I've been overcome with delusional grade, romanticized sadness over what Neptune and Saturn and Pisces ended up signifying for me, like one of the greatest losses of my life. With just like sad little Pisces moon, crying spell that I let happen because I have a Pisces moon, and if I don't feel my feelings, I'll die. And also, I think the Enigma album with the Roman numerals for the title is my entire personality, and I'm really leaning into that full force during this like Jupiter trine Saturn, Jupiter in Cancer trining Saturn in Pisces with the moon in, and I like that for the moon in Scorpio, just stuck in a romantic sadness hole, listening to vintage spa music / techno / boudoir music. That's the vibe Wednesday. And then at night we have the dark moon, and the moon also conjoins Mercury at night around the dark moon because the sun Mercury cazimi is early Thursday morning. So I like to mark the dark and full moons according to, or just like honor what has happened over the past 6 months. So that's not just my thing. That's any good astrologer thing. So the full moon in Scorpio was on May 12th. What was going on May 12th? That was like the pinnacle of something that now you've expended that energy. A dark moon is in small ways, sometimes ways that we can't recognize immediately. Something has run its course. So it has run its course in a tiny way, like every 2 weeks, something builds, and then every 2 weeks, again, something runs its course. That's the blinking universe. There's a really old episode of a podcast called The Higher Side Chats that I've listened to infrequently, but every episode I've listened to I've liked. And there's one called The Blinking Universe. If you want to go down a rabbit hole and just check out these Scorpio moon, trine, Jupiter in Cancer, Saturn in Pisces vibes, and really just drill a hole to China with the trippy structure of spiritual reality vibes, listen to that episode of The Higher Side Chats called The Blinking Universe. I think that's what it's called. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Right, the lunations. So the last full moon in Scorpio was on May 12th. So what has run its course since then? Sometimes it doesn't always have to mean like a huge ending. It's just, okay, that cycle's done and now we start a new cycle. And a dark moon means like you're starting a new 2-week little cycle in your life, and you're also starting a new 6-month cycle of what are you building towards for the next full moon, which is, it's just in May 2026. I wrote it down very messily, and I'm gonna just go with that. So also that full moon in May of 2026 also has some like Mercury Mars stuff going on. So that's a full moon in Scorpio with Mars in Aries, and Mercury's also in Aries, and so there's like a theme here, this like Mercury under the aegis of Mars theme, this is the Scorpio dark moon, so there could be some conflicts that are like going on under the radar, or we're choosing to stay cool and keep our spidey senses attuned to what are the causes of this upset instead of like having it out. Whereas there's much more of a risk or chance for the next full moon in Scorpio. This is, again, the dark moon in Scorpio. The full moon in Scorpio next spring. It's a different area of life. There might be like different people playing the same characters in a much more explosive version of this scene, like going on in another area of life. So is this anything? This dark moon has a little bit of a quiet exorcism vibe, like how you can have quiet luxury, but this is quiet dark night of the soul. The ruler of this lunation is Mars in Sagittarius. So there's something about having your faith tested through conflict, or like maybe you have already, like you're in the middle of it. I said at the beginning of this that this is like about being in the middle of it. So it might be like that time where you're in the midst of battle, it's going on all around you, and you're still finding peace, and you're doing it intentionally because you're a badass motherfucker. And on that note, they're like, with this dark moon ruled by Mars in Sagittarius, a dark moon in Scorpio ruled by Mars in Sag, they're like some dank monastic vibes going on here. I feel like it's almost even like on the verge of being moldy. You know that smell when you walk into a cave or Pirates of the Caribbean or somewhere old and covered in moss and it's been raining, where it's like a clean, moldy smell? It's not this moon. I'm romanticizing it, but this might not be romanticized. So it might be like literally a black mold, ecclesiastical aesthetic. But it doesn't have to be. It could be like that smell of like rain on stones over many years because the structure has no roof. And this dark moon is about one time when I was in Austria, I was on a hiking trail and there was this wall covered in like beautiful lush moss. And I noticed something at the wall, so I went to stand really close to it, like this. And I don't care. In nature, I'm a Pisces. I don't speak like this, but I have no qualms about just like really getting in there and looking at nature and checking it out and seeing what's going on. And there were tiny little snails, and they weren't like a snail shell goes like this. These went like this. They look like little unicorn horns, and they were tiny. They were like, the longest ones were like 3/4 of an inch, and it was so beautiful. It was like a magical world where I got in really close to see it. So it wasn't like Scorpio stuff is under the surface, and so this might be more of a Pisces thing, but Saturn and Jupiter are involved here. So there's something teeming with life. There could be a sense of wonder. It could be a little like dank and wet and gross and slimy. Snails are slimy. Anyway, I was standing like this next to this wall, and I heard a voice next to me, and it was like an old man who was amused by the fact that I was just like standing with my nose to this wall. And he said, "Was?" And then he said, "Moule," like M-O-U-L-E. I think that's what he said. So I don't even know what language he spoke. Maybe like some kind of Swiss German or French but I was in Austria. I don't know. Anyway, it's like that. Because the other thing, there's like a whisper behind you. Someone sneaks up behind you and whispers, but it doesn't have to be sinister. It could be an intimate moment of dank, moldy, damp, mystical wonder. Because there's Mercury in a water sign is mute. So that's no talking. And I want to adjust my set. That's no talking. So standing in silence with a strange old man in the forest, teeming with life. Symbolism will tell you more here. I recommend always, and do we get to do it all the time? Maybe not, but when you can, someday I'll have like hair, makeup, a set person, somewhere comfortable. All I gotta do is show up. Where was I? Yeah, symbolism can tell you more than words during this dark moon. I recommend meditating during the cazimi, which occurs it goes exact at 1:23 a.m. Pacific time in North America. So schedule your window, could be like 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Meditate for an hour. You're bound to discover something. I'm trying to be asleep at that time. I'm not trying to stay up late anymore. But if you are up late, that will probably be fruitful. There's also a book called, that I've only read a part of, called The Fruitful Darkness by Roshi Joan, last name, Halifax. This gives me that essence too. You could also, during the dark moon, Mercury cazimi, say the Orphic hymn to Hermes Catonius, because this is so that it's Mercury retrograde, Mercury interior cazimi on a dark moon. We're so in the underworld, and it's trining Saturn. There's something maybe like friendly ghosts. Mercury being like, if Mercury is like in the myths, guides souls through the underworld. This is like, I heard Alison McDowell mention this offhandedly, and I like caught it, and I never let go of it. I like put it on a necklace and wore it, basically. Now I'm wondering like how I could do that, but that Hermes, she was talking about Hermes, is the part of our consciousness that persists after death, because that's a thing. That's what a ghost is. That's what haunting is. That's what, if you feel an energy that like there are many energies in this world that are unseen, but one of them is people who are previously incarnated humans with some sort of unfinished business. So that's the dark moon in Scorpio. And then again on Thursday, it's basically Wednesday night though, the Sun and Mercury conjoin. And this marks the center of the Mercury retrograde. So now, when you wake up on Thursday, Mercury's still going to be retrograde, but it's not as fucking crazy as like the beginning of November, for instance. And we're headed towards resolution instead of headed into a series of crazy traps for us to try to fix and then make everything worse and be on a completely different trajectory than we thought we were going to be on, which may have happened to you. I really think like serving suggestion for the middle of the night between Wednesday and Thursday, meditating from 1 a.m. Pacific time to 2 a.m. Pacific time, because you also have the moon trining Neptune in Pisces and the moon opposing Uranus in Taurus. So you're really being set up, and saying this for myself, will I remember? I hope so. Will I want to be awake? I might want to be asleep. So you'd have weird dreams, possibly. Did I say this already? It was in my notes, but I can't remember if I said it, that this dark moon is really wonderful for asking your dreams a question. People have asked me, how do I ask my dreams a question? You just ask. You ask before you go to bed. Just ask the question. The unseen will return unto you an answer. Just make sure you have a paper where you can write down your dreams. If you get in the habit of writing down your dreams, then on the days that you do ask your dreams a question, and you wake up and write down your dreams or dictate them into your phone or whatever, you're much more likely to get the answer. Whereas if you're not in the habit of writing down your dreams and you don't, and your dream disappears into the ether, then you don't remember the answer to your dream. Or you remember your dream, but you forgot that you asked your dreams a question. So asking your dreams a question, one of the things that it requires is a relationship with your dreams, a relationship with the spirit realm, which is wherever that place you are is in dreams. You're somewhere. It's not physical. There are other somewheres besides the material voxels of our physical world. So this is great for asking your dreams a question. So on Wednesday night, either meditate in the middle of the night if you're awake, 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Pacific, or ask your dreams a question before you go to bed. You might get a pretty interesting answer on this day before the moon moves into Sagittarius and sextiles Pluto, and then Uranus sextiles Neptune. That's another reason why Wednesday into Thursday is because the moon is like contacting Uranus and Neptune. So Uranus and Neptune are contacting each other. And the last like Uranus sextile Neptune, this like soft contact of Uranus and Neptune I just want to talk about 40 things at once. Let me just tell you really quick. I'll talk about the Uranus-Neptune thing because it's like we're like in the middle of kind of an era. But Thursday, just like to give you a sense, all that stuff happens like while you're sleeping. What the gods have to offer you on Thursday is all in that like early morning place before the sun comes up. And then most of the day is the moon applying to a conjunction with Mars. And it doesn't go exact until Friday. But that's Thursday, basically. A lot of stuff in the Chitakasha and then your day like gets more and more vigorous and energetic, maybe fighty, maybe aggro as the day goes on. Okay, so Uranus sextile Neptune, it's an era. The last era, like the end of the last Uranus sextile Neptune, this isn't like all Uranus Neptune context. For instance, I wrote this like October 1993 was the Uranus Neptune conjunction. So one way you could think about this is like something was brewing in October of 1993 that is now, I can think of something in my life that like you might not have even been born, and that's okay. But there have been something that happened that does affect you now. Anyway, so see, we're talking about different eras of different lengths. There's no such thing as like a single era. There are all these like, this world, the simulation we live in is all these overlapping eras. It's very complicated, and astrology shows exactly how it's complicated. So the last time Uranus had this soft contact with Neptune, the sextile is Venus's aspect. It represents foremost something, it's like this, I'm just using like very cliche keywords, an opportunity to make something happen. You can do something with this. You don't have to. Whereas a square maybe comes for you. But it's like a soft thing, and you could take it further. You could you could catch it and hang on to it and make a necklace out of it or something. So the end of the last Uranus sextile Neptune era, and it was not in these signs, was in May of 1968. So this is like the 60s. The stuff leading up to, no, that wasn't the Summer of Love, 1967. So there's some Summer of Love vibes going on here, but it's really different because I believe that was Virgo and Scorpio. So the last time Uranus sextile Neptune was August 28th. August 13th is when Merge Labs was announced. So I was already working on this idea of this is like a Neuralink aspect on, I keep calling the moon sextiling Pluto from Sagittarius. So the moon in Sag sextiling Pluto in Aquarius, the Neuralink aspect, because it's like Centaur and a powerful merging of technology. Sagittarius merges with its tools, becomes one with them, so as to wield them more effortlessly. And that's not really a Pluto thing. Pluto brings in something else, which could be like tremendous power because of that, and then also corruption. So the last Uranus sextile Neptune was Uranus in Gemini sextile Neptune in Aries. But I keep calling the Neptune, like Saturn, Neptune in Aries, the new, more mandatory metaverse. Aries, so Aries is the self, but the metaverse is where we're going to live. And so thinking about the metaverse as a place, it's a metaverse. It's not the physical universe. So in a metaverse, it's like consciousnesses are experiencing and identifying. And we saw Uranus going through Aries be like, okay, now Instagram and selfies are a thing. And now like the self is your Instagram profile, basically. So now like the self is your digital wallet, your collection of NFTs, which are like certifications, badges that you did something, like some things that could be a class, that could be notarizing something, that could be you went to this party. That's the metaverse. And Uranus in Gemini is this like insane ways of connecting. Over the summer, there was also a telepathy startup that took your little, apparently when you think words, you get little like microbone movements. And this thing was the thing you wear in your ear, and it translated the microbone movements, and then it beeped them over to somebody else who had it, and you could have a conversation by thinking words. And it was this like mechanical telepathy, which, by the way, if there are micro physical movements in your tiny little earbuds when you're thinking words, and your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls, what's going on under the hood that we don't know about? That's fun to think about. And this week is so long. This Uranus sextile Neptune is it's bringing whatever like little magic sparkle of the future back to the past, altering the past with your practical enchantments. Think about that on your own. That feels like this a little bit. Merge Labs was announced around the first Uranus-Neptune sextile, which was in Aries and Gemini. Oh, and so Uranus and Gemini, like weird ways of connecting people, and that's also commerce, and like money's getting weird and changing. All of the like blockchain, digital wallet stuff, everything is becoming money. Weird stuff is going to be money that you don't currently like conventionally think of as money, but like your tastes, your preferences, obviously your data, your history, like all the digital detritus that you kick up, it's all money now. So how we, Neptune and Aries specifically, like how we conceptualize ourselves, the first selfie happened during Neptune and Aries, I believe, like back during the Civil War. So how do we, Neptune and Aries is like, who are you even? Are you like, I'm a physical incarnated human being, and I'm also a collection of online profiles, and I'm also a collection of bureaucratic records that will become my like a centralized digital wallet with ostensibly decentralized data, but the data thing is decentralized because that makes it indestructible. It doesn't mean under like collective utopian governance. And then you have an army of agents. Some people will have 40 or 500 or thousands of like social media profiles that are all like avatars, fake people that are like, I think around that time in August, I also saw there's like an AI actor that was like getting cast for stuff, and obviously all the actors and the Screen Actors Guild was like, please don't do this. Oh, it was because an agency was going to sign her. So we'll have these, not only like you're not just physical, you're all these other things that create the impression of you. Not only are you this collection of things, but also the people in the world. They're like, some of them are not real. A lot of them are like romanticized, idealized people. Like this AI actor has a collection of qualities that are considered desirable. So there's that. Neptune in Aries, sextile Uranus in Gemini is like how we connect. And one of the ways we're gonna connect is like through computer. Because I think about connecting my brain into a computer a lot now, because I have to do, computer hasn't made my life easier so that I can be in material reality. It's more just like sucking us all further and further into techno reality. So then, because of the high volume of tasks I do every day, and I have a Mars ruled Mercury, so I'm constantly trying to like figure things out, engineer solutions, and I try to make that efficient. But anyway, there are some days where it's like the number of things I'm doing on my phone and computer at the same time within the same like 120 seconds is dizzying, and it requires extreme focus. And I wish sometimes that I had just like a thing, can you just do this stuff? Upload this thing, and like, I know we have the technology now. I want that uploaded. I want to do this. I just want to make, as Jeff Bezos says, a small number of high quality decisions per day. And just like, computer does the rest. I don't have to have a whole team. So even if it, like, obviously, brain computer goes against many things that I would prefer. I prefer to be a forest person in a beautiful, lush, fertile land where I just experience the fruits of the earth and material incarnation. But right now in the world I live in, even though conceptually I don't prefer it, I fantasize about having brain computer, because then I don't have to like click that, tap this, type this, go on, press that button. Okay, so Uranus sextile Neptune. But this one's a little different. This is Uranus in Taurus sextile Neptune in Pisces, and this has been like coming down the tracks for a while, like since 2017. So this feels to me like things clicking into place. Things like it almost feels like there's like potential for happy ending, a potential for catching the magic that has been developing over a long period of time. Like now you can go down with Neptune and Pisces. Now you can go down there. Hopefully you know how to go down there and dredge up weird treasures and some things you might have to throw back because they looked good at first glance, but they come with weird stuff, or it's not quite what you thought. And then with Uranus and Taurus, what's your relationship with the supply chain? What is your relationship with, just your relationship with the material world might be different after the past few years with Uranus in an earth sign, and especially like pleasures. What sort of earthly delights do you prefer now, or has there been some sort of weird innovation or invention? These things together, like imagination, earthly delights, unusual earthly delights, clicking into place. Okay, so Friday. This week is so much. In the middle of the night, the moon conjoins Mars. And then also early in the morning, we get the sun opposing Uranus in Taurus. And it'll be like we meet again. And it's the last sun-Uranus opposition in Scorpio and Taurus. The conjunction, by the way, was on May 17th. And then also at the same time, the sun, because they're sextile, the sun trines Uranus. So the moon is the activator of the zodiac, but the sun, and this is going to sound cliche, but astrology can be very simple. The sun shines a light on those things. So the sun is like checking in. It's like not the manager, but the king walking by, like walking through your neighborhood, looking upon his kingdom, looking upon his beautiful, imaginative, earthly delights, part of the kingdom, and like nodding with a warm smile on his face. And the last time, and this is the sun trining Neptune, so not in opposition, but the last time the sun conjoined Neptune. And then Friday's quiet, the moon has conjoined Mars, and then the moon is headed towards a square with Saturn, and the moon is activator of the zodiac. And it's about to be Sagittarius season, and the moon is in Sagittarius. So Friday might feel heavy and also buoyant and all over the place. The sun enters Sagittarius around 5 p.m. Pacific time, 5:35 p.m. specifically Pacific time, and it's propaganda season. Mars is in Sagittarius, the sun is in Sagittarius. We're going to have Venus in Sagittarius in December, and Mercury's going to move back into Sagittarius in December. So there is like this like promotion, spreading. The word propaganda just comes from like a religious term meaning furthering the word, and that was supposed to be a good thing. But then Ed Bernays, I think, started appropriating it for the way that we talk about it now. So the sun is squaring Saturn, and Mercury is trining Saturn for the second of 3 times. So another one of those aspects that bridges like late October. The first one happened October 25th. This is the second one with Mercury retrograde trining Saturn. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio trining Saturn. And then the third one with Mercury direct again will be December 7th. And so the sun is squaring Saturn, and Saturn is stationing. So Friday into Saturday, we're feeling like Friday evening, Saturday morning, there is like a heaviness. Again, outer planets stationing. Saturn is stationing direct. It doesn't mean, it's not the same as when like Mercury stations direct. But for all planets, outer and inner, when the planet stations, we get like their significations become louder. So there's like more Saturn in the air right now. So it can feel extra heavy. And, I was talking about Saturday. So then in the middle of the day, the moon squares Neptune. So it's not just heaviness, there's like some confusion, or maybe going in the wrong direction. Or the moon in Sag wants to move around, and it's squaring Neptune. So maybe you're moving around, you want to go in a direction, but don't. Just wander. There's value in wandering. It might feel a little inconvenient on Saturday, but that's the essence of that moon in Sagittarius squaring Neptune and Pisces, and connected to the whole like imaginative earthly delights thing, because this is a slow moving planet sextile. So Uranus is sextile Neptune and Pisces. Make the most of it. Make the best of like confusing soup of strange wonders that you could turn into delicious, some sort of a boeuf bourguignon fusion. And then on Saturday in the afternoon, all these times are Pacific time. Around 3 p.m. Pacific time, the moon moves into Capricorn. And then Mercury also trines Jupiter in Cancer, another 2 of 3 aspect. Mercury is retrograde aspecting Jupiter. The first time Mercury aspected Jupiter in Cancer on this leg of Mercury's journey around the sun was October 24th. And then the next, and so now there's this one. This is like the middle of it. Again, I said at the beginning, we're in the middle of it. And then the third and final one will be December 6th. Sunday, just one thing happens. And it's the sun sextiles Pluto. So I really think it makes me think of doubling down. And also, so the only thing that the moon is doing on Sunday seems like nice and just, it's a day of rest, like a real one. Not like the meme where this comedian is like, it's Sunday, it's a day of rest. So we're going to go to church and get some breakfast. And then we're going to pick tomatoes. And then we're going to clean the garage. And it just keeps going. This Sunday doesn't have to be like that. This could actually be a day of rest because it's just the moon applying. It's the moon in detriment applying to Venus in detriment. Again, like, it's not quite misery loves company. It's just like it's literally cold comfort. So I know I use that term a lot for many whatevers. But it applies to this because there are many different, something I say about astrology is like there are many different recipes to make the same dish. So you can make a grilled cheese sandwich with like Wonder Bread. Okay, so the moon in detriment is applying to a nice sextile with Venus in Scorpio. Enjoy it. Whatever it is, enjoy it. It might be like a little uncomfortable comfort. And so the only aspect on Saturday goes exact at 11 a.m. and that's the sun sextile Pluto. So the sun in Sagittarius sextiling Pluto in Aquarius, and I keep calling the moon in Sag sextile Pluto in Aquarius the Neuralink aspect. And so we get a doubling. Oh, what I was saying before I like lost my train of thought. This is a very Mercury retrograde, long meandering video. What I was saying was there are many recipes to make the same dish. So you could use like white Wonder Bread and American cheese to make a grilled cheese sandwich, or you could use like English Cotswold and grilled baguette, or you could use like a ciabatta that maybe you slice the top crust off of and eat that as a snack while you're cooking, and do the thing where you put mayonnaise on both sides of the bread because that apparently makes the best grilled cheese ever, and use half a pound of Jarlsberg like in The Devil Wears Prada. Okay, there are many different recipes to create the same dish, and so this sun sextile Pluto is giving this like Neuralink Merge Labs vibe, in addition to the same planets that met when the Merge Labs thing was announced. They're meeting again. They're in a different place. They're like in a different neighborhood wearing different costumes, but there's something in the air around like merging with computers. And we also had that Neuralink aspect back on Thursday. Remember, they're trying to replace God.